together. IPSA. We're not just a name in a directory. Local minds with national synergy.
I suppose local minds with natural synergy is part and parcel of what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to IPSA Kind of Magic. We are effectively the channel for the Association of Independent Personal Search Agents, currently chaired by Hamish McClay of Search and Convey. And I'm very pleased to say we've got two other IPSA members with us today. The newly crowned Sharon Whitney, a recent attendee, although well known to the channel and to other IPSA members, and of course Mahesh Karai, inveterate dancer and also excellent search agent. Now, okay, joking aside, we live in a time of change. AI is on the rise, or should I say it's already here. It's knocking on the front door and asking for where we keep our sweets and confections. It wants to know what's going on. It's begging for our lunch money. Should we be worried? That's part of what we're talking about today. Today's topic is search agents, essential or endangered. And as ever, to start us off, Hamish McClay.
Well, good afternoon to you all. Yes, AI, indeed, one of the sad aspects about sort of AI, I suppose it's like society generally, is that AI has its marvelous thing, as well do members of society. However, it only gives you a superficial look. You can look at somebody. And of course, the way society is moving at the moment, we don't know what the heck is going on anywhere, by and large. And the same with AI to a certain extent, because there is an assumption. And many people trying to sell the virtues of AI. And it's no longer the people who've actually created the AI and are working with the AI. It's people who are trying to sell the use of AI. And one of the things we learned at our conference earlier this year, if it wasn't sometime last year, I can't remember now. But anyway, we get all sorts of useful information by attending conferences, and you don't find out if you don't turn up to them. And one of the comments that was actually sort of made that every single company that exists needs its own AI specialist. Now, the thing is, there are a number of people out there who are very good with AI, and they can have to tell you how to use AI for all sorts of things. However, what they can't actually do is tell you to identify whether the information they have is actually indeed the appropriate information, the information that you truly want. Is there too much information? Has that information been superseded that somebody forgot to tell you about? Or indeed, if there's an additional question that needs answering, AI cannot do that for you when we're working with local authority searches. And there is this assumption by a number of people, particularly the factory conveyancers out there, that, wow, we've got this fantastic tool now. It can scrape all of this information and kablam, out it goes. But of course, that isn't necessarily what the solicitor's looking for. So what we're trying to do as members of IPSA, and I guess other search providers are endeavoring to do this to a certain extent, we're trying to make matters easier for our clients. We want to simplify things for those clients that are solicitor clients that we're working for, or our conveyancing clients. So it saves them time, it saves them energy, because we're providing a service. We're not just providing a product. Now, AI at the moment can't actually do that.
No, interesting, isn't it? Mahesh, it seems to me that AI is but a tool. I think if people see it as anything more than that, I think they're sadly mistaken. And therefore, with all tools, rubbish in, rubbish out.
Indeed.
And on top of that, I don't believe solicitors and conveyancers want all the information. They need the information that's relevant. I guess that's where people like yourselves make all the difference.
Mm-hmm. I think sort of most definitely. I think if you look at the land registry system, for example, at the moment where they're sort of digitizing all the data, you can pull the information off from obviously the XML data and whatever else now. Obviously, they've got systems in place where somebody can dive into the data electronically, pull the information through for a particular property and say, well, there you go, there's your LLC1 search report. What that report doesn't tell you is, or what it does tell you is that you're going to get information on not just your particular property and the property that you're interested in, but the surrounding area as well. So if you're interested in the surrounding area, what your neighbors are doing and whatever else, and what trees are growing in the back garden and whatever else, or who's developing the house behind you, for example, all well and good. It'll give you that information. But I don't think the solicitors, to be fair, are interested in that information. Some will be of concern depending on whether there's an extension going on which is a bit too close to your boundary. But a planning report will tell you that as well. So it's a question of using the AI, using the information properly, and using the likes of IPSA agents to then filter through that data and get you the right information. That's what we do.
But what is it about an IPSA agent which makes them different from, say, a factory conveyancer?
A factory conveyancer, you've got a high turnover of staff who don't really know what they're effectively doing. And you're going to get, obviously, with the likes of us, you've got, for example, with me, you've got 35 years worth of experience. I think with my other two colleagues here, we've got like 20, they've both got like 20, 25 years experience in the industry. They know what to look for. So it's a question of, do you trust somebody who's got like 2 years worth of experience, who doesn't know really what they're looking at, to then tell you what you're expecting to see? Are you expecting, if you've got a tree in the back garden, are you expecting to see a tree preservation order? If you haven't got a tree in the back garden, but if there's one on a neighboring property, are you expecting, you should really expect to see a tree preservation order, because you can't be cutting down those trees or doing anything to those branches without getting council's permission, because they will effectively sue you for that. So it's obviously a fine line in terms of getting the right data and not getting the right data. So, and obviously looking at the right information. So in that sense, yeah.
Sharon, welcome to the show. Is it some of it made easier and also more pertinent by the fact that you built out relationships with people in planning offices and councils and stuff?
Yeah, it definitely helps. It definitely helps. I mean, AI, we've got to embrace it. It's happening. We can gain our information quicker now. We thought maybe our jobs would be at risk when, Land Registry said they were taking over land charges. But at the end of the day, we're doing exactly the same thing, aren't we? We're still refining the data. We're still checking it. Before we'd have to go to the council. Now some of it is email, saving time. It's just that it's whatever you put in, whatever it spurts out, as Mahesh said, we have to check it. And that's the thing. It needs a human to check the errors, check the information. And even like from land charges or council information, you could get, today I've been typing a search and it gave me the land charges of a planning description. And I thought, right, I've looked at the property on the planning and that planning application isn't there. It's there for next door. So, that could have been inserted into a search, couldn't it? But what we've done is we've checked it and it's not going to go in there. And we're here to save conveyancers time by putting that relevant information in there and get rid of all the other information. And, we've got relationships with the council to say, can we just check this? Should that be here? And local knowledge. So I think we're kind of doing what we've always done. So it's just a continuation of that. But now there's just so much more information, isn't there? There's so much more. There's websites coming out that I've been dealing with one where it, analyzes property deals and highlights the risk. But you're still going to need a conveyancer. Conveyancer still needs the searches to ensure that they're correct. They don't want to be waffling through all this information, and our expertise does help. So yeah, totally agree.
Hamish, I've always said that IPSA members provide what I refer to as a kind of John Lewis style search. you're not providing all of it, you're providing the best information to help them make the right decisions.
Well, fundamentally, you're absolutely correct. And there's certain aspects too that people will sort of override. They're not particularly well aware of. We as members do have a particularly good working relationship, and various different members of our particular sort of team, directors, executive members as well, have relationships with different aspects who are in different aspects of sort of departments outside of councils that have actually sort of dealings with our members. So we've got a good working relationship with Land Registry, as well as Sharon sort of quite very well explained there, but we've got a good working relationship with the councils as well. So when we do come across something, like Sharon mentioned earlier, oh, I've got this chat, this doesn't seem to be quite right. We can actually, and we have this, it's on record, and Land Registry will tell you this as well. We need to get one of the characters from Land Registry on board. We'll get
That'd be lovely.
sometime soon. But because of the working relationship, we feed back to Land Registry when there are challenges, when there are errors, and often what solutions can be made too. But we can also do the same with the council, because by us checking with the council can put their record straight. I mean, we've had some very, very interesting ones over time. But there's also one further aspect which people forget about. We as individuals, because we know the council, because we're working almost directly with our clients as well, our clients can often ask us additional information. Now, if they need to go to different councils, we've got to remember all these names. If they come back to us, normally we know the person exactly to speak to. Like somebody was speaking to me, it was late on yesterday afternoon. They sort of said to me, Hamish, section 106, can you get me some further detail? Now, we can actually sort of do that and save the time of that solicitor, because it's a service we're providing. We're not providing just a product. So we can check, we can refine, we can take away that information. So there's an abundance of aspects which are available through working with somebody who knows the area, the locality, because that's something clearly as well. You can look at things on a desktop and see things from a desktop, but if you don't know the area either, and this is what can happen if you can actually sit at a desk in Liverpool and you can look up property information for a property in Oxford. If you don't know Oxford, there are aspects of Oxford that you cannot actually fill the detail on. You can't turn out, oh, that particular road, I remember Warren Road there. I remember that's actually got, you're not allowed to sort of park there. There's got nothing about that at all. But you can add in bits and pieces of information that you picked up over time that the desktop sort of collator is not going to be able to actually sort of read out. And to be quite honest, we could, all of us as individuals, us three individuals here, if I was to get a search request to come in for Cardiff, I could get a lot of their information from the website and think I will save myself. But no. The last thing I would do was try and put a search from Cardiff together. Who would I speak to? I would actually sort of speak to Mahesh and say, look, Mahesh, can you carry out this search form because you know that search? And that's really the basic difference. So yes, there's a refinement goes on, and we're service providers as well as the product providers.
Mahesh, it seems to me what Hamish is referring to is a kind of a cooperative type style working arrangement between members of IPSA, so that whoever is best set up in a certain area has had the best relationship at that area helps in that area. Do you find that beneficial?
Oh, most indeed. I mean, sort of obviously being based in Wales. I mean, sort of unfortunately, there's not that many search agents in Wales. Or fortunately, there's not that many search agents in Wales. Makes my life a lot easier. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really want to be traveling. If the local authority is open and they're taking in a local search request, for example, and you can get the planning and information online, and you've got to look at their data records in their offices. I don't want to be traveling 200 miles to go to Berkshire. I mean, as lovely as Berkshire and those sort of counties are, I don't really want to be spending most of my day traveling on the M4 and whatever other roads there are to these councils to try and then decipher their system, which is inadvertently obviously different to what I'm used to in South Wales. So you've got to, one, learn a new system, two, then try and find all the information that you want to look for, and then get the search reports back in time. I could send the request off to Hamish, and I know that with Paula there, she can go into the council if she needs to. She can get the information, or if where Sharon's working in North London, she can call into the council there, get the information that I need, and I know that I'm getting the right information. I'm not missing something vital for that property.
So let me ask you the central tenet of today's podcast. Are IPSA members endangered, or are they essential?
I think we are very essential, to be fair, in this industry. I think if you're a solicitor worth your weight in gold, and obviously you want to get the correct information every single time, speak to an IPSA agent, because at the end of the day, we will filter the information. We won't just give you all the information that the council decides to reveal, even though half the information it might not be relevant from the council. We filter that information. I do it all the time for councils from Rhondda and Taff to Newport and West Wales. You filter that information, make sure that that's the right information going out for your particular property, and you're not looking at next door's property, or if you're looking for example, a development, you might get 106 agreements or 38 agreements for multiple sites, but looking at that data, which is your site, which is the correct information, and the solicitor saves himself all the hassle of having to go through 4 different agreements which might not apply.
Sharon, I see you nodding away there. It's not just knowledge of the local area, though, is it? It's experience and doing the job in itself.
Without a doubt. I mean, as a new IPSA member, I had to go through an examination, questions, and you rely on other IPSA members when you're stuck somewhere, or you think, what can I do, or is this right, should I include it? So between all of us and the great relationship, like you say, that we all have and get to know each other well and trust, everyone's there to help you. It's supportive, so you're not alone in your business, and you're not alone in this wide range of knowledge and experience over the years that you give you the answer to any queries you have. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
I can attest to the fact that IPSA members have given me a great welcome on the several occasions I've interacted with them, and I look forward to doing so in the future. Hamish, would you care to take us home, please?
Yes, I really reinforcing what we've actually said so far. We've got 2 aspects. We work in both ways. I learned this, funnily enough, when I was working for Unipart, because they were trying to how can we actually improve our relationship? And basically they called it the Unipart University. It's quite amusing, actually. But anyway, that's another story for another day. However, you learn from that we were actually providing products that went into vehicles, went into cars. So we had a relationship with the people we were supplying the information to, but I also had a relationship with the people who were providing with that information. So we're part of a chain. And the big challenge with conveyancing properties, when we do that particular work, there are so many different aspects of conveyancing, some of which are very well hidden. And we won't necessarily, and one of these strange things, that a great thing is, as I said, we as IPSA members, we're service providers, and we get the confidence of our clients to understand that, come up with something. And for example, a great example was Another client yesterday came up and said to me, "Oh, Hamish, everything's gone through fine. Now we hit a problem with the lender." Now, when somebody puts a property on sale, they fill out. There could be two different types of forms, and I think it's called the BAPSI form, which gives a lot of information about what's going on at their property. Or if they're working with a solicitor directly, it's sometimes called a TA6. It doesn't matter what the name of the forms are, but it's a series of questions. And one of the questions was, and you've got to be careful here, because if, for example, you said, there's no Japanese knotweed, because that's one of the questions you get asked. We don't get that information directly from the council. They won't give us that, but the person with the property is meant to know the answer to this. And if they turn around and say, "Oh, no, there isn't any," it can cost tens of thousands of pounds to remove that from the property. So the person who's selling the property is really at risk themselves if they turn around and say, "No, there's none there." Of it, in which way they're covered, is to say, "Not as far as is known," which is a question we were told we couldn't answer that type of question when we're answering our particular questions. But the owner of a property could, and they're safe to say that because they don't know what that Japanese knotweed looks like any more than I do, to be quite honest. I wouldn't know what the answer was for my property. So this particular question was about the person had answered the question. It wasn't about Japanese knotweed. It was about asbestos. Was there any asbestos within the property? And if you say no, again, it can cost thousands upon thousands to remove that. And I was able to turn around and they weren't asking me, did I know the answer? I don't need to know the answer. But I know where they can get the information from because there's a local person who carries out the asbestos checks on their behalf. So we've got this confidence of the client. They know who to ask. They don't need to go anywhere. We can save them so much time. So we get the accurate information, but we also have that additional service that we're providing too.
Wonderful. Yet again, I hope you watching, if you're part of IPSA, you're being encouraged because you'll see how the cohesiveness between different members from different parts of the UK are working together as one. If you are not part of IPSA and you're a conveyancer and you're interested, please be assured that if you have a search and you want it done in the way that you get the right information rather than every blithering bit of information, then go to an IPSA member. They'll get it done, and often much faster than you get from elsewhere. Thank you once again, Sharon Whitney, Mahesh Karai, of course, Hamish McClay, and all of you watching. Please keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars. In these troubled times, please try and look after your mental health. Until tomorrow, in fact, take care. Bye-bye.
Local skill with national connection. Independent, but never alone. IPSA, where your professional home.